Okay. All right. So hello, I'm Lacey Cattell, and I'm here with Erica Smith, and we are going through her implementation of her goal. And yeah, so I observed you. Well, first you observed me do it with one of our classes, and then I observed you do it with our 6A class. And the goal was for you to have more online conversations with your students, more digital collaboration, and the avenue or the tool that we decided to use was Flipgrid.
Right.
So we decided that you were going to do it on a review day as an option, and your topic, the topic that you put it under was samples and surveys.
Right.
So what the students were asked to do was to make a video, to create their own scenario, and the viewers had to decide if it was biased or unbiased and what kind of sampling it was.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the students' progress towards that goal. So how did they do? What did you notice? How did you feel that it went?
Sure. I will say there wasn't as much participation as I think I wanted because it was an option. And on a test review day, we have a lot of options. So I think there could have been more participation with that, or like me kind of gearing them towards that, maybe even making it a required assignment could have been helpful. But I did notice they were pretty clear in their speaking, which was great. Those who chose it, you could tell they chose it because they're comfortable speaking and like hearing themselves talk. I don't always love that. So the students who chose that, you could see they were pretty clear. I was also looking using a rubric, which was part of our pre-planning. We had talked about that. I was looking for a very clear example rather than a situation where it could be biased, could be unbiased. I was looking for a really clear, definitive sample type. And then I was also looking for them to respond to at least two of their peers and like actually respond to what they thought the sample was. So not only do they show mastery by explaining an example, but also showing mastery by being able to identify what their other peers are saying. So that was kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah, and you feel like they did. You said the response wasn't what you wanted, but overall, the ones that did it.
Yeah. The like amount of responses wasn't necessarily as great or as impactful as I wanted it to be. But yeah, the ones who did choose to do it seemed pretty.
And then like your implementation of it, I know we did the checklist, which we have here. So we kind of walked through it a little bit before this video, but so what is it? Is there anything that you feel like? I know when I saw you, I thought you did we did some of this together too, like creating some of the stuff beforehand. But do you feel like you allowed some time for them to play with the tool, or did they not necessarily really need that?
I would say they seem to have more exposure in like a science class rather than like we haven't had it in our classroom, but they seem to understand Flipgrid and like ELA. I know they talked about doing some activities with it, so they didn't really need time to play with it, which was kind of great because we don't really have a lot of time with review like that. So I didn't necessarily think that was an important part of our checklist.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
Yeah, we probably could have taken that out. When they were using it, I will say the monitoring on the videos, that was an easy part of the checklist, and I think it was an important part, but I didn't really require much on this one because they were just saying bias or I don't know, it was a convenient sample. Like it wasn't a lot of back and forth for me to monitor.
Like conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think like monitoring posts, I think that's important for a future implementation, but not necessarily on this one. It wasn't a huge requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so just confirming like the direction of this, do you want to keep your goal as it is? Like, do you want to change the strategy, the tool? Like, how do you feel? I know you said you didn't really meet exactly like where you wanted them to be. So what are your thoughts on like improving that?
Yeah. So a couple things. I think either we do it on a day where quiz review, test review, there aren't as many options, so it does kind of require them.
Yeah.
Or we make it like, okay, you guys finished one from each of these options. Here's half of a day left. Like, do this as a required extension activity or even a required option.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like the only options for sample and surveys, for example, instead of like giving a couple other options. So their only way to practice this specific topic is by doing it.
Yeah.
Could be a way to like actually make them do it. But I like Flipgrid. I think it's the ease of it and like me being able to do an introduction and kind of clear the expectations up from the start without me having to be like on top of them. I think that's good. So I'd like to keep the goal and the tool, but I think in the future I should really focus on choosing a topic that allows the dialogue. Because like I said, it really wasn't like a back and forth conversation.
Right. Yeah.
Like the students were just kind of answering. I thought the video part was great,
Right.
like them creating it and they took it and made it their own, but like maybe letting students like build upon each other's
Right.
responses.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Especially because like the video part, they are getting that deep understanding of like the bias, unbiased, but the
Right.
answer is just like it's like a DOK1. They're just responding. They're identifying what the type of sampling and surveys it is.
Which they could do from like a matching activity.
Right.
It didn't really matter. So I
just
think,
changing maybe just changing the topic. That
I think I could do better with strategically choosing which topic to do it with.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can meet again to discuss soon, and I know that we have like milestones review coming up, but we still have probability left with 6A after milestones, so I would definitely think that we can do this again.
Yeah, I think with probability too, like that could get
really
creative.
cool.
Yeah.
I feel like they can come up with a lot of really cool examples and stuff and using probability.
We could even do it like homework assignments too in the future where like they have to do something at home, like maybe get the parents involved somehow, like some way. I think that could get
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. And enjoyable for them too.
I agree. So I think we try it with probability again and see if we can definitely improve just that little piece of it, because I feel like the rest of it was really good, and they're getting a lot of exposure to technology in here that they aren't using. So
right. Yeah, no, I agree.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Erica.
You're welcome.